Of course, you don't have to have a 200-acre vineyard to enjoy a sip of nature from your own backyard. Oh, this is going to be so good. A little bit of lime. Oh, and then some sparkling water. Just about right there. Oh, and some mint, fresh mint. And I can't forget about my synthetic flavoring. There we go. What do you think? Not such a good idea, right? I don't think so either. I don't want to use any synthetic chemicals in my body, and I don't want to put them on my farm. That's why I use organic fertilizer. I'm giving these guys the best chance for a successful bounty, and at the same time giving my soil all the nutrients it needs to be healthy and feed my plants. It's like the cycle of life. Now, what I normally do when I'm first planting a fruit or citrus tree is use about 1/2 cup of fertilizer per gallon of plant container. Now, for an established tree like this, what I do is I use 3 cups per inch of caliper. So let's say this is about a 3.5 to 4 inch caliper tree. Let's just call it 4. I'll use 12 cups of fertilizer, and I'm going to distribute it evenly under the drip line of the tree. So I'll go all the way out to the drip line and then distribute it all the way around. That's the best way to make sure that all of those roots benefit from the fertilizer. Now, I feed my fruit and citrus trees in late winter, and then again in late spring, and then the last time is in early fall. So plant a few fruit trees around your place, whether it's out in the yard or in some containers, and make sure you feed them, because when you do, you're going to get a great yield and plenty of bounty. If you want to create a front yard that plays nicely with, well, something very refreshing that you can put in a glass like this, you might think about planting some aromatic herbs like lavender and rosemary. You see, these are classic herbs. They're perennial. They're going to persist in your garden. And talk about fragrance. I just wish you could smell the aroma that's here in my kitchen just by bringing some inside. Now, if you grow these 2 herbs, you're going to want plenty of sun. They love a lot of sun and well-drained soils. You'll find this drink is, well, it's very refreshing, and you can create an adult version or a non-alcoholic version. Now, to create this very simple recipe for what I call herbal lemonade, you want to start with a simple syrup. What I did was take 3 stems of lavender and just crush them. Just use the back of a spoon. And then in a small saucepan, I combined 1/2 cup of granulated sugar to 1/2 cup of water, and then just pitched in the 3 sprigs of fresh lavender and just turn the heat up to medium-low. Then I let this simmer for about 2 minutes, reduce the temperature to low, and let it cook for another 5. You just want to make sure that all of the sugar goes into solution and you get the most out of those aromatic oils from the lavender. Then I just removed the stems and allowed the simple syrup to cool. This is so aromatic. You're going to love making this because not only does it work for this recipe for this drink, but you can also use it in things like tea. Really nice. Now, the first step is to integrate that other herb, which is the rosemary. What I want to do is just break off a sprig of this. It doesn't take much. It's about all you need for one drink. I'm going to drop it in here, and I just want to take some ice, about 1/2 cup of ice, maybe a little more. There we go. And then I'm going to take 1 tablespoon of the simple syrup. There we go. And then 1/2 lemon, the juice of 1/2 lemon. And that's about, I don't know, a tablespoon, a little over a tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon and a half. So, of course, the fresher, the better. There we go. And then if you want to make this an adult beverage, you just take some vodka. And what I'm going to use here is about 4 tablespoons of vodka. And I'll apply that just like this. Then it's a matter of just popping the top and shaking this. And you want to shake it until it's too cold to hold. That's about right. Now I want to take a little bit of ice to add to the glass. That's about right. Take off the top. And then we want to take a little club soda to finish it off. Give it a stir. And then garnish it with one of these little lavender blossoms like that. There we go. A drink that your guests will certainly enjoy. Very nice. My front yard never tasted so good. Searching for that perfect cup of tea? Bruce Richardson shows us how to make it in the comfort of your own home. Bruce, it's really astonishing to me that tea has become so popular.
Well, it's one of the world's oldest beverages and even more popular today than ever.
You know, I really appreciate you taking the time to show us how to create the perfect cup of tea, or glass of tea if we're talking about iced tea.
Exactly, and Alan, tea is not that hard to make. People really get pretty anxious about it, but let's begin with one of my best sellers. It's all fruit, blueberries, apples, raisins, black currants. It's one of the most popular teas we do these days.
I love this blend that you've created.
You know, somebody asked me, well, do you have to add sugar to it? No, you don't, because it has dried apple already in it. And that puts the natural fructose right into it.
Sure.
So what we want to do is just take 2 heaping teaspoons of tea. And with this pot, you can see how beautiful it's going to be once we had hot water. So I'm going to ask you to go ahead and pour it about 2/3 full today.
All right.
And you see, Alan, this has a steeper already built into it, and so many teapots these days have the steepers already put in. It's an diffuser basket.
Yeah, look at the color. It's already coming through.
And that's the hibiscus that's in it that immediately starts to bring colors. If people are looking for something that's caffeine-free, you can drink this at night before you go to bed, no caffeine at all. The other thing I want to show you is a lot of people are drinking iced tea, especially here in Arkansas. Here is an easy way to make iced tea that maybe your viewers have never seen before, and that is cold infusion. You don't have to always use hot water.
Okay.
So let's do it. This is a steeping device for iced teas, and let's take a beautiful green tea with a little bit of mint, which is
nice combination.
Nice and refreshing. And we'll put this Chinese green tea right in, and then
2 heaping teaspoons.
2 heaping teaspoons. Now, this water is right out of the tap. It's been filtered, but it's
room temperature.
Room temperature, goes right in, and see that wonderful basket holds it and lets the tea infuse perfectly. Be sure that the tea is covered up with water.
So you're right. So you're bringing the water up past where the tea is.
That's right.
Oh, look, you can already see the color.
Exactly. Then you just cover this up. This will go right into the refrigerator overnight and bring it out the next day. Let's go to a traditional black tea. And Alan, we have put lavender in with this black tea. So this is an Earl Grey with the addition of lavender.
Oh yeah, you can really smell lavender.
We've been smelling that for a half an hour here. And a good, any good tea with 2 teaspoons of tea should give you a good infusion.
Okay.
Great. Now, again, if you'll just add water to that and make sure that the tea leaves are covered, and that will make a great, great pot of tea. Now, this tea, we're making it with water that's about 212 degrees. And we want to let it steep for about 4 to 5 minutes. And that's good right about there.
There we go.
Good. Now, put the lid on it and then forget about it for about 4 minutes. This tea, you can oversteep it. So if the phone rings and you come back in 30 minutes, it's way gone.
So you think this one's about ready where we could try some?
That's a great color. Reach for the cups.
All right, here we go. There's 1 cup.
All right, you'll hold that. I'll play mum. You know, the English call this playing mum.
I see, right. Okay, Mom, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's lovely, lovely.
Great color, isn't it?
Bruce, this is delicious. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Alan.
Clearing up a few points about tea. Up next, we go into depth with my friend the Princess Georgiana Corsini. She shows us how to pair wine with herbs, so stay tuned. know, Georgiana, there's nothing like cooking with fresh herbs from the garden.
Fantastic, yes. I see that you have quite many herbs.
Yes, look at all of them. And this time of year, they're so fresh.
We never put together on the same plate sage and rosemary.
Oh, really? Now here's some sage.
But yes, that's right. Do you know why? Because in nature, you don't see them growing in the same spot.
Right. So you would never cook with those two together?
No. The meat, I would cook it either with rosemary or with sage, but never together.
Really?
Because in nature, they are not together.
Now, your family has been in the winemaking business in Chianti for 600 or so years.
Yes, 600 years. And in 1730, our Chianti wine was transported to Rome, where a member of the family had become Pope.
Oh,
and
really?
He was drinking our family wine.
How fabulous.
Chianti. It was really always Chianti. This is based on Sangiovese wine. You know, Sangiovese, it's a vine that is only cultivated in Tuscany, and it is extremely difficult to cultivate it anywhere else.
So, Georgiana, how would you characterize Chianti?
I would say it is a very strong wine. I should say a man wine.
Oh, really? Right.
And has
bold
and rather harsh. You have to get sort of used to that taste. And it ages very well.
I see. So the older the better, really.
The older the better, and you can use it with meat, mainly with meat.
I see.
And you can also cook with it.
Now, how would you pair the Chianti wine with, say, meat, for instance?
I would use it for grilled meat with roast beef.
Like a roasted beef, right?
Yes, and I would use it for cooking. For example, if you cook the stracotto, which is a very long cooking meat, like 5 hours, I would use red wine.
I see, right. And as far as herbs that you would pair with the Chianti and beef, for instance, what herbs would you tend to use in your kitchen?
In my kitchen, I would use rosemary and parsley.
Ah, the flat leaf Italian.
Yes, but I wouldn't use too many other herbs, because all this mix of herbs, in fact, they neutralize themselves.
It's marvelous having you here. Salute. Arkansas isn't usually the first place people think of when it comes to good wine, but up next we'll take you to some of the state's best vineyards. I know when you think of Arkansas, you don't immediately think of winemaking, but it actually is home to some of the oldest and largest wine producers in the southern region. So why not come, soak up some of these wineries, enjoy the food, and of course, some of the wine. That's what I'm talking about. There are about a dozen wineries in Arkansas, but for this trip, I'm going to focus on 3. First stop, the largest winery in Arkansas, the Post Family Vineyard. Joseph, these are some gorgeous vines.
They really are. They're healthy. This variety is muscadine.
Yeah.
And the muscadine is native to this part of the world.
Right, a North American grape.
You bet. And here you see them trellised and trained. We have about 100 acres of muscadines under cultivation. These vines are probably between 20 to 30 years of age, and they're really in their prime.
And look at how productive they are. These muscadines are gorgeous.
You bet.
And there's so many of them.
Well, if you notice that they're starting to fall off, that means the sugar's there.
I see, and it's time to get them.
And it's time to get them, so they'll be harvested soon.
Roughly, how many tons of grapes are you processing at Post a year?
Well, that's.
Can you do the math?
Well,
that's probably a big number.
Yeah, it's going to exceed 1,000 tons.
Oh my gosh!
But we think about a bottle of wine from the ground up, and that's what we have out here. What you have is a bunch of bottles of wine sprouting up here.
Now, I'm a romantic at heart, so visiting a historic wine cellar is right up my alley. Johann Andreas Whitaker carved a wine cellar by hand in 1880. Can you imagine that? Then in 1967, They converted the original cellar to a restaurant, which is on the National Registry of Historic Places. And it's such a nice white Zinfandel. It goes well with these brats.
Brats are quite versatile because you've got white veal and you've got dark meat, and it's a sausage, and there are 3 kinds of sausage there, and you can use any wine, it's flexible.
And so what are you having with the steak there, Al?
I'm having Cabernet Sauvignon. It's my favorite red wine, and it's the king of reds in the world, you know.
But what's the tradition of like white goes with white meat and reds go with red meats?
Well, the practicality of it was years ago when the Duke or the Kings, they had large jugs. When they opened it, they couldn't refrigerate like we do now. And so when they opened one, they used the wine with the food, and if they were doing poultry that was white, they used white with it because they marinated the poultry in the white wine, and then
the red wine would have stained it.
That would have stained it red, yeah.
Right.
And so they used the red with the red meat, which worked well, and then they drank the wine with that meat.
How interesting. So it's the origin of the tradition.
Right. It just happened down through the ages, and of course later on with refrigeration. And we think that tradition should never dictate. It should just suggest, and you should drink what you want with whatever you want.
Whitaker Wine Cellars also hosts an annual wine festival in October.
It's just a big family get-together to kind of celebrate the wine making and the grape industry. Usually there's 4,000 to 5,000 people come to this thing, and it's a lot of fun.
So tell me about the sustainability project here at Chateau Ozark.
Well, our mission statement has been for years, drink local, think global. Realize where your beverage comes from.
The wine that you make is made from grapes that you grow right here.
Not only that, that was discovered here in Arkansas in 1837.
Yeah.
And Vitis estivalis, known as Cynthiana, and to other places, Norton.
And because it's native, it requires less in the way of chemicals, which plays into your whole sustainability program.
It is the natural grape for the natural state.
If you want to be the first to know about our latest projects and what's happening at Moss Mountain Farm, be sure to sign up for my newsletter at pallensmith.com and check out our online store. We'll be right back. So the next time you pick up a few plants for your home landscape, think about how you can actually maybe put them in a glass and enjoy them as a refreshment. Main thing is to have some fun, but drink responsibly.
Mother Nature pushes you around a little bit. Grapes are ripe, they're ripe. And so you're taking samples of grapes in the vineyard and bringing them in the lab, and Mother Nature's telling you when you do what.
There you go.
We
She's the
can't-
boss.
You can't muscle Mother Nature around.
And I can't believe how much fruit is on there. I've got to try one of these.
They're just dynamite.
Salute. Did I say that right? Salute. I didn't say it right.